Oh, Benito, your image is flipped backwards. Can't
No way.
understand it.
Perfect.
All right.
I'm gonna leave it like that for now.
Love it. I love it. Here, I'm going to grab this link. I'll drop it in the chat. This is the live event link. It's also a link to our YouTube channel. If anybody ever wants to check out some past events, that's where we have them at. That's where they all live. You can check them out. They're also on our website also. All right. I'm going ahead and hit share screen. Start. And let's move over here. Okay. All right. Oops. That works. Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's event on whiteboarding and interview practice by Hispanic hackers. We want to thank our sponsors, the Capital Factory. First off, without them, we would be it'd be a lot harder to do what we do. They have a lot of good information. They help us out. They sponsor us with meeting space if we meet in person, and they also take care of our Zoom call for us. So they're great people. If you ever have any questions, hit us up on Slack. We can help answer those for you, or get you in contact with anybody over there if we don't have the answers for you for that. For today's event, we're going to have our agenda is we start at 7. We started a little bit late today, which is totally okay. We'll have breakout rooms about 7:15, probably like 7:20. We'll have our introduction. We'll have some breakout rooms where we have our event, our presentation, and then we'll have a Q&A session about 8:45, and then tonight's event is over at 9 o'clock. For anybody that's new tonight, about Hispanic hackers, we're a group of software and hardware engineers, and our goal is to showcase our knowledge and experience and build professional networks for people. If you're not Hispanic, that's totally okay. Our goals, ultimately just to be part of the community and help each other out. People on our team are Eddie Reyes, myself, James Lockwood. We have Laura Evans, Timothy Huang, and Laura Oyes. We're always looking for new people to join and help us out. Some of the goals that we want to try to accomplish are advancing the knowledge and technology in space. We have monthly tech events, mostly software, sometimes hardware. We've been focusing this year on developing career opportunities for our members. That's kind of been the track that we're going on for these last couple months, and ultimately for our next month event. We do whiteboarding interview practices. We do connections with companies if we're able to. And we're ultimately just trying to build community in the Hispanic community in tech and make professional connections and ultimately have fun. That's the goal. Let's have fun. Let's meet new people, and let's answer questions and be there for everybody. Anybody interested in getting involved, let us know. We're always looking for new help. No amount of help is too small or too large. We need anybody that can do anything that wants to be a part of the team. Even if you just want to hang out and be someone we can bounce ideas off of, it's always good to have someone we can talk to in the room. We're looking for people to help out with our website if you're interested, helping out with social media. If people who can, or if you're able to help out with resumes or make connections for people, it really what doesn't matter. We're looking anybody that wants to join and be a part of the team, totally welcome to. Before we get started, we'd like to take a quick photo. So I'm going to take that off real quick, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So, hey Eddie, I have that shirt. I love that shirt. That's my favorite shirt actually from the Capital Factory.
It's a good one. I'm repping the
yes.
Capital Factory today. Yeah.
Woo! I'm wearing a different organization shirt, but it says Texas Leaders on it. So, so real quick, we're gonna get a quick screenshot of everybody. So, Tim, let me know when you're ready.
All right. So if everyone can give a nice big smile, we're gonna take and turn on your cameras if you want to. We're gonna go off in 3, 2, 1. All right. And then we're gonna do one more.
Hang on.
3,
I'm
2.
catching up, Tom.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
I got a good one that time. Haha. I don't always get a good one. Let's see. Share my screen. Can share. All right. Great. So next thing is social events. Now that the summer months are kind of getting here, well, they've been here, but since it's getting warmer out. Anybody interested in hanging out and doing a social event with us? Feel free to drop it in our general Slack channel. Totally, we're game to do that. Even if all we do is get together, grab some coffee, or you want to do it like a lunch sometime where we just talk tech things or talk code things, or just catch up. Hey, I've been doing this and I'm doing that. What else can we do to improve where we're at, or go paddleboarding or go for a bike ride? It really doesn't matter. We're looking to have a once a month social event, if at all possible. This would just be something fun to hang out with, get away from the computer. I know personally, I've been having like burnout, so I've been looking for opportunities to get away from the computer. I've kind of figured out a thing for myself, but yeah, it's always a great idea to get away, set the computer down, get away from work, and just relax a little bit. So we're always open. Let us know. We'll be happy to hang out and we can do something together. For next month's event in June, this is the one you definitely want to make sure you have on the calendars. Tell your friends, anybody you know that's looking for an opportunity. We've talked with, right now I know for sure, at least 3 recruiting companies that are planning on being there with us next month. It'll be a little bit different format. More than likely we'll do, I guess it'll be similar format, but we'll have breakout rooms more than likely for each one of them. And it'd be a great opportunity for people to bring a resume, make sure their LinkedIns are looking good, so you can share that with them. And ultimately the goal is to get you in front of some hiring managers. So that's what we're trying to try to do next month. We have, like I said, we have at least 3 people who have said yes. If anybody that has a company that's working for a company that is also hiring is able to talk to their hiring manager there, it'd be a great opportunity for them if they wanted to join. Please reach out to anybody on our team. Get us on Slack. You can get us at the Meetup account or at Capital Factory. Ultimately, like I said, we're just trying to make a place for people looking for work and getting them the opportunity that they might need for the first time or whatever, just in front of a hiring person. So yes, next month, June 22nd, 7 to 9, it'll still be on Zoom. So you can do it in the comfort of your own home. Ways to get a hold of us. You can find us at hispanichackers.com. Check out our website. It's pretty cool. It's got a lot of good information. We have some blogs. We have information about past events. If you've missed one, we have information about us on it as well. What we are, what we do. We have our social media accounts and stuff like that all in there. You can get a hold of us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I guess meetup.com is ultimately always a thing. It's always there. You can find us on our Slack channel. If you haven't had a chance to join yet, the QR codes here on the sides all go to our account. You can join from there. So we'll have the next thing is a social connection party. If anybody would like to, this would be a great time to drop in your LinkedIn account link into the chat. We can connect with anybody. This is also another time I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oops. Oh no. I always do that too. Stop share. So if anybody is looking for work, this is a great time to put it out there. Also, if anybody knows that their company is hiring, this is a great time to share that with the group as well. You can share a company link and just talk a little bit about it, but this is that opportunity. I know I'm currently at UT, and I know that we are hiring developers in all capacities. Python, Rust, Java, WordPress, JavaScript, you name it. I think we are hiring. If you're interested in that, let me know. I can connect with you after the call and share with you the link to get into our careers page.
Good
Cool, I
evening,
can-
everyone.
Oh,
Oh,
go for it.
sorry. So I work for Amazon, and probably about 3 to 4 times every other day, I get emails about job postings for software engineers, all different types of levels. So if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn.
Cool. And I'm Eddie. I work at Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook. And we're hiring production engineers. That's what I do over there. I'm a production engineer. If you want to know what that is, hit me up. I can talk about it. And they've recently expanded remote work. So I think all levels now can work remote. Or you can work in Austin, or you can work where I'm living now in Seattle, or Menlo Park, or Boston, or they have a bunch of places. So yeah, hit me up if you're interested. We can talk about it. I can also refer you if you think you can pass the interview. So yeah, hit me up.
Hello, I'm Benito Fernandez. I'm the CTO and co-founder of the Whisper company. And we're here in town in Austin. And we are fundraising, but we are looking also to hire. So we develop SDK and an app for iOS devices and Android. The app is only on iOS, so we'll be looking for people to port our Invisible Ink application to Android, and we're also looking at for a desktop version. So if you're interested, let me know. My LinkedIn is there, and my email is benito@thewhispercompany.com.
Awesome. All right.
And I can show you the demonstration app. It's kind of cool. It's endpoint protection. We use Face ID to get into our devices, and sometimes in some apps ask you for that, but it's just for access. Once you're in, anybody could use your device. So our patent, which was accepted yesterday, is persistent user authentication. So our demonstrator app is a messaging app, and it's free for everybody that needs secure communication. I'm originally from Venezuela, and the police can stop you. Use your face to get into your phone, look at your messages, and if they don't like it, they put you in jail. So big problem. So I can see my messages, and if my face is not there, it obfuscates.
Oh, that's neat.
And as soon as my face is back, I'm back looking at it. And if there is a second face behind me, I don't know if it's going to work, but because your faces are kind of far, but it also obfuscates.
Oh, cool.
So it's continuously using biometrics to guarantee that it's your face and nobody else looking at your messages.
That's really neat.
So the SDK is ready for both iOS and Android, but the app is only iOS.
That's really neat. I like that.
Awesome demo, and congrats on the patent.
Hey, thanks.
All right.
So if you know of anybody that will have those skills, Java, Swift, we need to do it native because of the bandwidth of the biometrics, the hardware. So,
Mhm.
and the backend as well. So,
All right. Well, we can share that information in our Slack channel, and if someone's interested, they'll definitely reach out to you.
appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to share my screen again. All right. All right. Well, our next step is our feature presentation. I guess I will let Tim take over from here.
I was gonna say, James, if you want to drive,
Okay.
just so we keep it on your screen. I don't
Okay.
have it loaded up right here.
All right, go for it.
Okay, cool. So good to see everyone tonight. I'm just gonna give some quick tips. I've been interviewing with some companies and been using a course on Udemy, which I thought is pretty cool. I kind of jotted down some of the steps that they had mentioned. So I was just gonna run through them, and then hopefully that will serve to help with tonight's practice session. So if anyone wants to add anything, feel free afterwards as well, because there's a lot of approaches, I guess. So kind of what is presented in the course itself is, you always want to be talking out loud because the recruiter on the other side doesn't know what you're thinking. So you have to talk through your process and your reasoning and your code. Kind of the first step when you first get a problem is making sure that you understand it. So maybe trying to restate the problem in your own words, ask clarifying questions, making sure that it is what you think it is, essentially. And then the same thing with the inputs and outputs. I've been doing some hacker rank as well, and I thought the output was going to be like, I don't know, say something else, but it really was an array. So it kept giving me an error because I didn't realize that, or I didn't see it at first. So just making sure that you understand that off the bat. The second example is trying concrete examples, meaning actually plug in some values that work. Usually they give you values. So in the example, or you can ask, what's being given, and then just run through that. And if it has a compiler, just to see what comes out, it is what you expect it to be. And then besides the obvious inputs, you want to ask about other types of inputs, like what if it's empty? What if it's like undefined? What if it's null? And what if it's like a certain amount in an array that you didn't expect, or it's more? So you want to cover those edge cases and speak them out loud. Let your recruiter know, or your technical interviewer know, like, hey, that's what I'm thinking. So I just mention it out loud. Next slide, please, James. And then step 3, what was mentioned was trying to break it down. So a lot of these, I think, medium and hard questions that more so medium, but some of them have a trick to them, or some of them have a helper function that you can split out to make things more readable. So kind of just breaking it out. So you want to write out the general steps, the high level steps that you would want to do something. And you can even write pseudocode if you feel comfortable enough going through them. It doesn't have to be super detailed. So you don't have to say like, I'm going to do X, Y, Z and stopping at this point in the loop or something. Just kind of know the general process that you're going through. And then I added this picture here because this is one of the problems that I encountered on HackerRank. There's actually a link right there. If you see magic square is highlighted in blue. So it actually is a link to Wikipedia. And if you don't actually go through that, you might have missed that because you were nervous and whatnot. But it does give some helpful hints. And then you can even ask, like what the interviewer thinks about this problem. It's just to see. And step 4 is trying to just basically tackle the problem, solve it, simplify it. And it was mentioned, if you can't solve the whole problem the first time, try to break it up into the part that you can do, the smaller part, and acknowledge that later, you'll tackle the hard part, but just work on different parts and just let people know what you're thinking. Next slide, please, James. And then step 5 is a really good step because it shows that you can go back and look at other people's code and you can potentially make it better by optimizing it. So you want to refactor for things for performance versus readability. Sometimes you can be a JavaScript ninja and just write one lines, but in practice though, when other developers read it, it might not be as quickly understood as say like an if, else, if, else statement. So yeah, props to JavaScript ninjas, but in practice, I think it's good to have for yourself in the future when you look back at your code too. And just any other creative solutions. I haven't had to do any recently, but just other ways to do it. I think it's appreciated to mention. And I think on one of the interviews too, I said I added comments to certain parts that might have been confusing. And again, it shows that you're thinking about other people, about your code, and just for the long term, basically. And in this photo, I just added this because you might look through something like this and you're like, well, if I wrote 2 for loops, one for loop nested inside another, can I split it out to 2 separate for loops? So of course, that's going to better performance. And then just names of variables, names of symbols, variable, all that other stuff too. Yeah, that should be good. Next slide, please, James. And then I just wrote down some quick notes from the course that I thought might be useful. I feel like some of us here are pretty advanced in JavaScript, but just in case other people come across this, when generally you want to use objects because they're just quicker to access. I think it's hash tables in other languages. In JavaScript, it's objects. And some of the benefits is like when you don't really need some kind of order, because it's basically JSON, you just throw stuff into a bucket. When you need it, you go reach for it, that exact piece. And when you don't really need fast access or insertion or removal, I'm not sure why. There's something else. Anyways, I listed some of the access of the time, space, the complexity. This is the time. So insertion, removal, and access, you can see is O of 1. So it's very quick to do those things. It's almost instant. And then searching it has to go through the whole object, structure by using things like objects.keys, objects.values, etc. Next slide, please, James.
Tim.
Yeah.
If I may, on the refactoring, will they usually ask you like refactor for speed or for readability?
I haven't had it asked me during interviews just yet.
Okay.
At my work, they've asked me to optimize for readability. But I know backend engineers probably want to optimize more for performance. So
yeah.
I've definitely been asked to optimize for performance, or in other words, find the optimal, implement the optimal way to do this.
Yeah, I'm old school. If you want the speed, go to assembly.
Sure, yeah. So write it in assembly in the interview.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
I think, okay. So we're still on JavaScript objects. These are some of the methods that are common with JavaScript objects. So the first 3 that you see, they basically just loops through the object and just gives you the keys, the values, or both, depending on what you want. And there's like hacky ways you can write it with for of, or I think it's for of loop. So you can, yeah, it's something to see. And it has own properties, just basically seeing if it has a certain key inside that object. So just having these methods in the back of your mind are helpful if you haven't come across them before. Next slide, James. And then the other useful structure is obviously arrays. I think it's in every language, as far as I know. And this is kind of when you need a certain order. So things like when you're doing some kind of access, you can access a certain index instantaneously, almost like it's like an object. Insertion and removal gets kind of tricky depending on where you're trying to do that action, whether the item that you're looking for is at the beginning or the end, you know. So the answer is like depends. And then searching is kind of the same. It has to run through each single item to evaluate, to find something specifically. And then of note, push and pop are a lot faster too. I think just because they work at the end of the array instead of the beginning, like shift and unshift. And the reason for that is re-indexing is expensive, an expensive operation, because it has to shift all those different values to another index. So I think that's good. Next slide, James. Thanks. And again, some more common methods for JavaScript arrays. These are some of the time complexities for them. And you can check them out later. I won't mention them all here. Next slide, please. And I included some helpful links that I was using during my practice too. I read some Quora and some Reddit forums, and they said that HackerRank and LeetCode are one of the popular ones, some of the popular ones. Code Chef, I think, is the other one, but I have not had any experience with that. And there's two websites that has kind of like cheat sheets that mentions, you know, the things I mentioned before about the time and space complexities, but more in an organized manner, of course. And then toptile.com, that site has kind of like a visual representation of these different methods. And yeah, it's just helpful to see sometimes if you haven't seen it before. And I jotted down two courses. The Udemy one is the one I'm using currently. And then the front end master is the one I did in the past. So I have notes from that, and I'm kind of comparing between the two. If you could jump to the next slide, James. So my understanding is that if you have a limited budget, you know, you're honest, like if I was a student, Udemy is a lot cheaper, $12. If you wait for the course to go on sale. You probably won't pick up as much. It's not as much detail, but it's definitely a useful introduction. But do not buy full price, please.
Yeah.
Next.
Magically, it goes on sale the third or fourth time you go to the website. It's a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And this one has been a while. I don't know if they updated or not on front end masters, but this one goes into a lot more detail. It's meant to be kind of like a seminar style, where it's like 2 days worth of coaching or teachings. This one has a yearly subscription and a monthly one that's a little bit more expensive, you know, if you split them out. But I found it to be very helpful as well. So just some of the ones I've been using. I think that's it for the slides, James. Oh, actually. So tonight's event, I think just doing it this way helps offload some of the work for our team members here. So if you have a HackerRank already, don't worry about it. You can just log in. If you don't have it, you know, just make one real quick. It's not hard. You can use your GitHub, I believe, just to sign up. The reason I think HackerRank is good, because some of these companies I've been interviewing at, they basically use the same platform. So like the same instructions, the same compiler and things like that. So if you used it before, you know it's kind of like janky if you're writing JavaScript too. So making the mistakes on your own before you go into a real one definitely is worth the effort. And I think something I read along the way is like you get better with algorithms if you practice more. no one starts out as a genius in algorithms. Maybe some, but not me. And the thing is, you don't have to like it. So just practice and just try to do 1 or 2 a day. Just keep up with it. And as I mentioned before, there's certain patterns with some of these algorithms, like the forming a magic square one, the one with the wiki link that I had mentioned just now. If I didn't read that, or I didn't like kind of sat down and try to understand it, I think it would have been really, really hard to solve. So there's always some kind of trick with the higher level ones, I think. So tonight's plan, I'm looking at the list here, and we'll decide here what we'll do after this, but we were planning to split people in different rooms. So there could be observers, there could be the interviewer, interviewee, and they can go and access the warm-ups or the easy problems on HackerRank. Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of what the page looks like. Can you go back a slide, please, James? I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, yeah. And then the goal is basically to practice talking and coding. We're not here to try to solve the problem entirely. It's cool if you can. If not, it's okay. And basically, daily practice is where you want to do the majority of your work. But today is just about practice. Talking out loud. You have a person in front of you, in front of the camera. You want to be comfortable talking to a stranger or an interview. And the next slide, please, James. So this is just the dashboard. You can see this is my dashboard, and you kind of just, there's different things that you can do. But if you go through the next slide, James, there's like, if you click around enough, there's a list. I forgot where. You can filter it by easy, medium, or hard. And then you can see warm up as well on the subdomains. And that will help you get you started if you haven't used the platform before. Next slide, please, James. And then they have some HackerRank certificates. I was looking at them, but I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if you have to pay or not. So just want to throw that out there in case anyone's interested. And is that it? Is there one more, James? Yeah, so we'll open the floor up to kind of some Q&A, preliminary Q&A, and then we can regroup later and talk about, algorithms, job, interview, whatever you guys decide. That's the end of my part.
I would also add about the practicing. I personally believe practicing for the interview is probably the most useful thing you can do for yourself. Even if you're like an awesome programmer and you code all day at work, what I find is that doing the interview is a very different experience from doing your work every day. And even though you're really good at your job every day, you may not be up to snuff to pass an interview because it's a little bit different. Like you code at work, and you can blast your music on your headphones. You can just sort of like draw stuff on the whiteboard and take your time and work late and work slowly. In the interview, it's much more like a performance, like a musician is playing a concert. Like they have to play the song at that moment in the concert, and if they screw up the song, like it's not going to come out good. So musicians practice and practice and practice so that they can then go and perform. And to me, I think a coding interview is more like that than it is like doing your actual job. I've personally bombed an interview while because I wasn't prepared for it, even though my job at that time was just like nonstop coding. I figured I'm good, and I wasn't good. Like it was terrible. So yeah, don't assume that because you're a super great coder that you're going to be a super great interviewer. You have to practice interviews, and you have to practice performing and talking. When you're working on your code, you're not talking to anybody unless you're like pair programming or something, and even then, that's not the same as an interview. So yeah, couldn't agree more with the advice to practice as much as you can because it's a performance. And of course, you have to know your stuff. Like know your big O notation, know your algorithms. If you don't know that stuff, you can't perform either. That's also another important component.
There's also a lot of free resources out there, people. If you don't have to pay for things, especially during your interview time, take advantage of the free stuff. Those accounts that Tim was talking about, those are totally the like HackerRank and LeetCode. Those are totally free. Definitely worth signing up for them. There's another one called Code Wars. That's pretty cool. To actually get an account, you have to solve some sort of a functional equation of some sort to get your login the first time. So you have to. That's fun, especially when you're starting out. And then there's other tools that are out there like Pramp, where you can do kind of this one-on-one with a stranger, practice this whiteboarding skill. You can set up an interview, like a sample interview, and ask a stranger a random JavaScript question or Python question or whatever type of interview question you want to ask them, and then they're going to do the same thing with you. They'll follow up with a question, and I think it's like 30 minutes per person to answer the question and to ask the question. So totally free tool to use and utilize. I've used it in the past. It works really well. All right. So what from a group consensus, what do we want to do? We can hang out and we can talk about interview questions together as a group. We can break off into maybe 2 to 3 little breakout rooms, and we can do a whiteboarding question in each one. We can also go the route like Tim was suggesting, and we can sign up for a HackerRank account and kind of talk through that as well. A show of hands, what would we prefer to do, guys? Since we have a smaller group today.
Is Jonathan the only one that is looking for a job? We can all ask him questions.
Alex, are you
hotspot, huh? Yeah, I'm here.
Alex,
yeah,
too?
so how's it going, guys? Sorry, I should have introduced myself earlier. Yeah, currently I am still in the process of learning a lot in terms of just like web development. I've been doing a bit of projects on Front-End Mentor, but without getting too sidetracked, I honestly feel like me personally, it would be better to do something on HackerRank. But that's my take.
Okay.
Did anybody come hoping to be interviewed, like a mock interview?
I was actually down for whatever. So, I mean, I just enjoy the group in general. So whatever y'all are for, I'm down for.
Cool, thank you.
Okay. So
I will go with Alex's suggestion.
okay. I'm going to stop the live.